Most people are familiar with the creative offensive genius of Kansas City coach Andy Reid that has taken him to several NFC championship games as well as one Super Bowl during his 15-year tenure with the Philadelphia Eagles. But perhaps the most effective coaching decision ever made by Coach Reid lies buried and almost lost in National Football League history. You see, after years of employing a small ball offensive approach that prevented him from winning a Super Bowl, as well as invigorating his fan base, Big Red did something that had the extraordinary effect of ending his Super Bowl championship drought while boosting the enthusiasm and interest for the Kansas City Chiefs fan base. What was it? The answer also seems extraordinary. During the Alex Smith years as the Chiefs quarterback, representatives of the Kansas City Chiefs organization combed the country in search of talent for the Chiefs in a stealth manner. Even though the Chiefs were reaching the playoffs with Alex Smith at quarterback, the Chiefs realized, especially Andy Reid, he realized their destination was limited with small ball. As a consequence of these unprecedented set of events, the Chiefs claimed their stake at the top of the AFC for many years to come. Could it be that the Chiefs drafted dynamic receivers who could create space and transform into playmakers after making the catch? That appears unlikely because Alex Smith commanded those weapons in the Chiefs' offense, but it still led to premature exits from the playoffs. Thus, dynamic playmaking alone could not get the Chiefs very far. Could it have been the signing of Tyrann Mathieu, the all-world safety, who solidified the defense with such studs as Dee Ford and Justin Houston? Hardly. That defensive unit failed to crack the top 10 in overall defense in the NFL. And it was this defensive unit that failed to stop 3 straight third and long conversions in an AFC championship game in Arrowhead that could have launched the Chiefs into Super Bowl 53. The best defensive effort by itself could only produce heartbreak for the Kansas City Chiefs. So, to Andy Reid's logic, an excellent wide receiving core and a stout defense are good components of a championship caliber team, but the quarterback play would need to be substantial. What's so special about quarterback play? The NFL, you see, had transitioned to rules that protected the quarterback from serious injury. This doctrine restricted the pass rushers from hits above the shoulder of the quarterback, as well as body slamming. This concern grew from studies that linked chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, to head injuries, as well as there was a public pressure to make the game safer. If a defensive player targets the head or unnecessarily roughs the quarterback, or any offensive player for that matter, a 15-yard penalty could be assessed, as well as potential ejection of that player. These penalties could place a team at a great disadvantage to winning a game, especially in key moments of a crucial game. And everyone knows players and coaches' jobs are based on wins and losses. That decision had an immediate impact on the landscape of the National Football League. For the first time, this ushered in a revolution in offensive philosophy. Teams unleashed concepts in the passing game because this brought efficiency to the offense with less risk of injury to offensive personnel. This new emphasis on passing has resulted in offensive records being shattered, as well as an explosion in big plays on the field. On a given week, it is not unusual to see a quarterback drop back to throw over 40 times in a game, and yes, sometimes over 50 times. This philosophy has highlighted the key role of the quarterback. It has resulted in the quarterback commanding an astronomical percentage of a team's payroll. So now we see teams with effective and efficient quarterbacks, launching their organizations to the top of their conferences routinely. The logic of the situation hit Coach Reid. He transitioned to innovator out of a disappointment that made him nothing more than a perennial contender in his conference. Dripping with this disappointment, Andy Reid transitioned to passionate. This fueled his desire to win, as well as the desire to animate the fan base in Kansas City. Coach Andy Reid went to work. He in overdrive. Coach Reid went to work on an offense that would strategically win football games efficiently, as well as invigorate the fan base of the Kansas City Chiefs, who had suffered with apathy through 50 years of underwhelming and even boring Chiefs play on the field. Coach Reid went to work on an offense that would change NFL history. Coach Reid went to work on an offense that would supplant his legacy in the National Football League. After digging, passion dripping through his veins, Coach Reid discovered the offense that would strategically accomplish the goals he sought. We can describe the Reid philosophy as big football down the field that overwhelms opponents, win championships efficiently, and crushes apathy in the fan base. Kansas City was the birthplace of the Andy Reid philosophy. Coach Reid worked with scouts to identify wide receivers who were track stars, and then he commanded his scouts to fan out into the country secretly to scout for a quarterback that had the arm strength to deliver the football down the field to the track stars. The clandestine or secret scouts returned to Chiefs headquarters in the middle of the night with tales of a Texas Tech University quarterback with the raw power and skill set to run this special offense to the Super Bowl. The stealth operation led to the Chiefs moving up to the 10th spot in the 2017 NFL Draft to pick Patrick Mahomes. Yes, Patrick freaking Mahomes of Texas Tech University. As a result, in the years after the drafting of Mahomes, after his redshirt year, Coach Reid has unleashed his big football philosophy that has resulted in 2 trips to the Super Bowl, with 1 Super Bowl championship thus far, and a possible return trip to the Super Bowl at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles on February 13, 2022. NFL opponents have since found that they could use their defensive schemes to undercut Andy Reid and his offensive effectiveness to prevent him from winning another Super Bowl. But Coach Reid and the Chiefs learned a related lesson. One of the best ways to win efficiently, strike fears in the souls of defenses, as well as ignite the fan base, is to employ the philosophy of big football down the field. Because big football accomplishes several strategies. Coach Reid has nurtured his innovation out of passion for the fan. Coach Reid has nurtured his philosophy into a Super Bowl trophy. Andy Reid has nurtured a raw, powerful athlete into a regular season MVP, Super Bowl MVP, and future Hall of Fame quarterback. Every ball a receiver catches from the hands of Patrick Mahomes comes dripping with the passion of future Hall of Fame coach Andy Reid. Something they can feel, even if they were in school when